I never imagined my own flesh and blood would corner me in the kitchen of our childhood home, a switchblade glinting under the fluorescent light, all over a measly $15,000 he'd sworn was family business. But Ethan did it anyway, his face twisted into something feral, spitting accusations like, "You stole it, Adeline. You ruined us," as if I hadn't spent years covering his ass, taking the fall for his screw-ups since we were kids dodging CPS in this godforsaken brownstone. And in that split second before the blade swung wild, as I dodged and crashed into the old oak table, splinters flying like shrapnel, I felt the world tilt, a freak storm of lightning cracking outside that hit the power lines and surged through the room like divine judgment, swapping our souls in a blink that left me gasping in his skin, plotting the kind of payback that'd make the devil blush. It started, like most New York nightmares, with a promise. Ethan and I grew up in the shadow of the Williamsburg Bridge, back when Brooklyn was still gritty enough to chew you up and spit out the bones. Mom died when I was 10, overdose on the fentanyl that flooded the streets after the Sacklers got their asses sued but kept the profits. Dad? He bailed before I could walk, chasing some pipe dream in Vegas. So it was just us against the world. Me, the scrappy little sister patching holes in our lives, and Ethan, the golden boy who could have been anything but chose the fast lane instead. By 25, I'd clawed my way into a decent gig as a paralegal downtown, crunching docs for overpaid lawyers who wouldn't know justice if it bit them in the ass.
Ethan?
He was running with a kind of crew that made headlines, mid-level hustlers in the real estate scam game, flipping foreclosed properties to desperate families while pocketing kickbacks from shady developers. He had the charm, the suits, the corner office in a Flatiron loft that screamed, "Made it." But I knew the truth. That shine was fool's gold, built on lies and IOUs he'd never pay. The 15 grand was peanuts to him, a drop in the bucket from the half-mil he'd siphoned off a deal gone south. But to me, it was my emergency fund, scraped together from overtime and skipping meals, earmarked for finally getting out, maybe a one-bedroom in Queens, away from the ghosts. Ethan borrowed it 6 months back, no questions asked, because that's what sisters do, right? Cover for your junkie brother turned wannabe kingpin. He promised payback with interest, swore on Mom's grave it'd be quick. Liar. Then the feds came knocking. Not for him, for me. Turns out, Ethan's latest flip involved cooking the books on a HUD grant meant for low-income vets. The paper trail? It led straight to my desk at the firm, where I'd notarized a few docs as a favor because he begged, tears in his eyes, saying it was just signatures, nothing more. Bullshit. Those signatures pinned the embezzlement on me. $15K wired to a ghost account in my name, timestamps matching my login. I got hit with wire fraud charges, lost my job overnight, and watched my life evaporate like morning fog off the East River. Ethan played the hero, of course. Showed up at the arraignment with his slick attorney, posting bail he borrowed from God knows where. "We'll fight this, Addie," he whispered in the courthouse hallway, his hand on my shoulder like we were still kids sharing secrets under the covers. "It's a mix-up. I'll make it right." That night, over greasy slices at Luigi's, he spun the tale. Some rival had framed us both, but he'd handle it.
Just needed time.
I bought it, hook, line, and sinker, because what else was family for? Weeks blurred into a haze of court dates and collection calls. My credit tanked, friends ghosted, and the mirror started showing a stranger. Hollow cheeks, dark circles like bruises. Ethan kept his distance, feeding me scraps via text. "Busy closing a deal, sis. Hang tight." While rumors swirled in our old neighborhood. Whispers at the bodega. Adeline's the one who screwed over those vets. Ethan's clean, though. Always was the smart one. I confronted him on a muggy July evening, the kind where the air hangs heavy with exhaust and unspoken regrets. Pounded on his loft door until my knuckles bled, screaming his name through the peephole. He finally cracked it, reeking of bourbon and cologne, his tie loose like a noose half-tied. "What the hell, Addie? It's late." "The money, Ethan. The signatures. It was you, wasn't it? You set me up to take the heat." My voice cracked, but I held his gaze, searching for the brother who'd once shared his last Snickers bar when I was starving. He laughed, Sharp, bitter, like shattered glass. Set you up? Jesus, you're paranoid. That 15K? Yeah, I took it. Needed it to square things with the crew. But the feds? That's on you for being sloppy with those docs. His eyes narrowed, calculating. You want out? Fine. But you're dragging me down with your whining. Hand over whatever's left in your account, and maybe I'll get my guy to bury this mess. I stared, the betrayal sinking in like ice water. This wasn't my brother. This was a stranger in his skin. A man who'd sell his soul for a penthouse view.
Fuck you, Ethan.
We're done. His face darkened, the mask slipping.
Done?
You think you can walk away? After all I've done for you. He grabbed my arm, nails digging in, and that's when I saw it, the glint of steel in his pocket, pulled in a flash like he'd been waiting for this. The blade hovered inches from my throat as he shoved me back into the brownstone we'd fled to after Mom's funeral, the one we'd inherited and let rot. You stole from me first, Adeline. That 15K was mine, my cut. Give it back, or I'll carve it out of you. His breath was hot, ragged, the storm outside mirroring the one in his eyes. I twisted free, heart slamming like a jackhammer, and bolted for the kitchen. He followed, roaring, the knife slashing air where my shoulder had been. We grappled over the table, dishes shattering, silverware clattering like gunfire. I landed a knee to his gut, heard the whoosh of air leave him, but he swung wild, nicking my forearm. Blood welled, hot and sticky, but adrenaline drowned the sting. You're nothing without me, he snarled, lunging again. Thunder boomed, so close it rattled the windows. Lightning forked through the blinds, illuminating his snarling face in stark white. Power surged, fuses popping, sparks dancing across the outlets like fireflies on steroids. The room lit up electric blue, a hum building in my ears, vibrating through my bones. Ethan froze mid-swing, eyes wide, mouth agape. Then it hit, a wave of vertigo like the floor dropped out, pulling me under. I blacked out to the sound of his scream, my scream, and the metallic tang of ozone. When I came to, sprawled on the linoleum amid shards of porcelain, the pain in my arm was gone.
No, worse.
My body felt wrong. Heavier, broader, the scrape of stubble against my palm as I touched my face. I staggered to the hallway mirror, breath hitching. Staring back was Ethan. My brother's chiseled jaw, his sharp blue eyes, now mine, framed by that ridiculous undercut he'd rocked since college. But the reflection's gaze held my terror, my fury. Across the room, huddled against the wall, was
me.
My own face, pale and trembling, clutching the knife like a lifeline, whispering, Adeline? What the fuck did you do? I opened my mouth, his mouth, and Ethan's voice boomed out. No. What did you do? But inside, it was me screaming. We'd swapped. Bodies, souls, everything. The storm, the surge, some freak glitch in the universe's code, or maybe Mom's ghost finally cashing in karma. Didn't matter. In that moment, staring at my own terrified eyes in his shell, I knew. This was my shot. His power, his access, his lies, all mine now. And I'd burn it all down from the inside. The first 24 hours were a fevered dream of denial and desperation. Ethan, me in his skin, paced the loft, barking into his phone at underlings who jumped like he'd zapped them. Fix the books on that HUD deal.
Now.
Or you're out. His voice carried weight, the kind I'd only heard in whispers, connections to city councilmen, envelopes of cash under gala tables.
Power.
Real, dirty power that made men like him untouchable. Meanwhile, my old body, him in it, curled up in the brownstone's back room, popping Xanax like candy, muttering about hospitals and shamans.
This isn't real, Addie.
Wake up. But it was, and every time he slipped calling me bro in a voice too soft, too feminine, I had to coach him through the charade. Act like me.
Slouch.
Swear at the TV during Jeopardy reruns. And for God's sake, don't touch my makeup. Why not rat him out? Call the cops, spill the swap like some sci-fi confessional? Because who'd believe it? I'd end up in Bellevue, strapped down with the schizophrenics, while he slithered free in my skin.
No.
Revenge wasn't about justice. It was personal. I'd make him feel every ounce of the hell he'd shoveled my way. The isolation, the shame, the slow erosion of self. And that 15K? It'd be the spark. Step 1. Isolate the bastard. I leaked a tip to an old contact at the Post, a concerned insider, whispering about Ethan's erratic behavior post-storm. By morning, his phone blew up. Investors pulling out, a raid scheduled on one of his flips. He, in my body, watched the news in horror, my delicate hands wringing the remote. This is you, isn't it? Sabotaging me from the inside. I smirked, Ethan's lips curling just so. Paranoid much? Maybe it's karma catching up. But inside, my heart raced. This was the thrill, the rush of flipping the script, watching him unravel in the fragile shell I'd built over years of quiet survival. Next, the secrets. I'd always known Ethan had skeletons, but rifling through his desk in broad daylight? Jackpot. Encrypted drives spilling ledgers. Not just the HUD scam, but kickbacks from a slumlord ring evicting immigrant families for luxury condos. And buried deeper, a file marked Yes Insurance. Adeline something.
Me.
Forged docs showing I'd cashed out a policy on Mom's life, pocketing the payout he'd actually blown on coke binges. The betrayal hit fresh. He'd framed me not once, but layered it, turning our grief into his getaway fund. I forwarded copies to his rivals anonymously, CCing the DA's tip line. Anonymous source. Ethan Hale's dirty laundry. Let the vultures circle. By week 2, his empire cracked, deals collapsing, whispers of indictments. He confronted me in the loft's marble-floored kitchen, my own face gaunt, eyes wild. Stop this, Adeline. You're destroying us. Us. I laughed, pouring his favorite single malt with hands that didn't shake. There is no us anymore. You killed that when you pinned your sins on me. Remember the vets? The families you displaced? That's on you, big brother. Now feel what it's like to lose everything. He lunged, clumsy in my frame, all wrong angles, but I sidestepped easy, his bulk no match for my muscle memory. We tumbled anyway, crashing into the island counter. For a heartbeat, I saw it. His real eyes, trapped in my gaze, pleading.
Please.
I did it for us. To get out. You were always the weak one. Weak? The word ignited something primal. I pinned him, against the cabinets, Ethan's fist cocked. But I stopped. Not yet. The humiliation had to be total, public, the kind that stains forever in America's cancel culture coliseum. I orchestrated the leak, a viral thread on X, leaked from his own account. Screenshots of the ledgers, captioned with his voice. Yeah, I fucked over those vets for a quick buck. Family first, right? Brooklyn hustle. His team scrambled, denials, hacks blamed, but the internet doesn't forget. Protests erupted outside his office, signs reading, Ethan Hale, evicto of dreams, vets in wheelchairs blocking the doors. Sponsors bolted, his fiancée bailed with a blistering IG story. Knew he was slime, but this?
Done.
He broke then, holed up in the brownstone, my body wasting away on takeout and tears. I'd visit under cover of night, slipping in like a ghost, watching him rock in the armchair. Give it back, Addie. Swap us. I'll confess.
Just
end this. Tempting, I'd say, Ethan's shadow looming. But you don't get mercy. You get what you gave, nothing. The tension coiled tighter, a noose of my making. His crew turned, loyalty bought cheap in this town, and whispers reached me of a meet. Rivals cornering Ethan in a Red Hook warehouse to discuss the leaks.
Perfect.
I'd walk him into the lion's den, let them rough up his facade while I played the victim from afar. But as the date loomed, doubt crept in. Was this revenge or madness? Every mirror mocked me, his smug grin when I practiced speeches, the way his cologne clung like guilt. And deeper, what if the swap stuck? What if I became him? The monster I'd always feared. No time for what-ifs. The night arrived, rain lashing the city like Judgment Day. I drove his Beamer to the docks, heart pounding in his ribcage. Inside, shadows shifted, 3 figures, faces hooded, voices gravelly with Brooklyn bite.
Halle, you been talking shit.
Time to pay up. I feigned bravado, Ethan's drawl dripping sarcasm. Gentlemen, misunderstanding. Let's talk terms. But they circled, bats tapping palms, the air thick with threat. One lunged, a crack across his knees that buckled me. Pain exploded, real and raw, but I bit down, whispering into the hidden wire I'd planted. Now.
Sirens wailed distant, closing fast.
My tip to the cops. Anonymous, precise. The rivals scattered like roaches, but not before cuffing me. Ethan in my skin, dragged from the brownstone as backup swept in on a disturbance call. Double whammy. Him pinched for aiding the meet, me walking free with bruises that screamed victim. The headlines hit dawn. Real estate scion Ethan Hale busted in mob ties. Sister Adeline Hale questioned. Released. His world imploded. Mugshot viral. Board ousting him mid-sentence. From his cell, he called, my voice broken. You win, Addie.
But it wasn't all me.
There's more.
The swap.
I caused it. Bullshit, I thought, hanging up. Or was it? The call from lockup gnawed at me like a bad burrito from the corner truck. Indigestion that wouldn't quit. Ethan, in my body, ranting about causing the swap? Sounded like jailhouse delusion, the kind con spin to cope with the concrete walls closing in. But as I nursed his bruised ribs in the loft's king bed, silk sheets mocking my unease, a sliver of doubt wedged deep. What if he wasn't lying? What if this freak accident had strings, pulled by the same greedy hands that'd ruined me? I pushed it down, focusing on the endgame. Humiliation wasn't enough. It had to be biblical, the sort that leaves scars on the soul. With Ethan cooling his heels in Rikers, my face splashed across New York 1 as the tragic sibling caught in crossfire. I had free reign. Step 2.0. Dismantle the remnants. I liquidated his assets, funneled the cash into a trust for those evicted families, anonymous drops via a shell LLC. From one Hale to another, the notes read.
Poetic, right?
The press ate it up. Mystery benefactor foils slumlord's legacy. His crew? I flipped them one by one. A quiet lunch at Peter Luger with Marco, his right-hand greaseball. Loyalty's a two-way street, pal. Ethan's done. But Adeline? She's got plans. Big ones. I dangled carrots, percentages of the reparations fund, and they bit, spilling more dirt. Ethan's ties to a councilman named Ruiz, envelope stuffed with Benjamins for zoning variances that displaced whole blocks. Ruiz, the power broker with a smile like a shark and a Rolodex thicker than the yellow pages. I met Ruiz at his favorite haunt, the Palm, steaks sizzling under caricatures of the elite. In Ethan's suit, I was invisible, just another player in the game. Councilman, I said, sliding a thumb drive across the linen. Ethan's been generous, but sloppy. Feds are circling. His eyes flicked to the drive, then me, calculating. And you're offering?
Immunity. I lied smooth.
Testify against him, and the leaks stop. You walk clean. He bought it, or at least pretended. By week's end, Ruiz flipped, spilling to the DA in a plea deal that painted Ethan as the puppet master. The headline shifted. Corruption probes snares Brooklyn developer. Hale empire crumbles. Back at the brownstone, Ethan, in my skin, paced like a caged animal during conjugal visits. I'd show up in mufti, his bulk squeezed into hoodies 2 sizes too small, flashing a visitor's badge. Look at you. He'd sneer, my lips twisting ugly. Hiding in plain sight. But you can't keep this up forever. People notice. You're my tics. The way you pick at cuticles when you're nervous. He wasn't wrong. Impersonating him wore thin. The bro hugs from his bros felt invasive, like hugging a stranger in your own clothes. And the women, God, the propositions at networking mixers, handsy VCs mistaking his charm for mine. I dodged with Ethan's patented smirk, but inside, revulsion churned. This body was a prison of privilege, every muscle memory a reminder of his sins. Worse were the nights alone, staring at the ceiling fan whirring like accusations. Dreams bled into wakefulness. Mom's pale face in the morgue, Ethan's whisper, "I'll take care of the policy, Addie. For us." And that storm, the lightning not random but engineered? Paranoia, sure, but it itched. I hacked my personal files deeper beyond the ledgers, emails to a sketchy lab in Jersey, Project Echo, neural sync prototype, test on live subjects, buried attachments, schematics for some black market neural implant, zapping brainwaves via EMP bursts. The date? 2 weeks before the storm. Holy shit. He'd done it. Rigged the brownstone's wiring, lured me there for the confrontation, triggered the swap to escape the noose tightening around his neck. In my body, he'd vanish, feminine anonymity, a new life on the lam with stashed cash. I'd be left holding his bag, the fall guy squared. The betrayal? Nuclear. Not just framing me for fraud, but rewriting my very self to cover his tracks. Rage boiled fresh, but so did fear. If he knew the tech, he could reverse it. Endgame accelerated. Get him to confess, on tape, then flip the switch back, if possible, before he clawed free. The arraignment was circus. Flashbulbs popping like gunfire outside the courthouse. Protesters chanting, "Justice for the displaced." Ethan, shackled in my orange jumpsuit, looked small, my frame swallowed by the fabric, eyes darting like a cornered rat. His lawyer, a weasel in pinstripes, pleaded not guilty, but the judge set bail at a cool mill, citing flight risk. No one posted. Poetic. I cornered him in the holding pen, glass between us, his voice tinny through the receiver. "You figured it out, huh?" The swap. My own face leered, but the eyes, his eyes, gleamed triumphant. "Smart girl." "Yeah, I paid top dollar for that gizmo. Some ex-DARPA egghead, moonlighting for chumps like me. Thought it'd be clean, you and my body, taking the heat forever while I ghosted in yours. But the storm glitched it. Partial sync. We're stuck, Addie. Unless. Unless what?" I leaned in, Ethan's jaw clenched. "You drop the leaks. Get Ruiz to recant. I flip the switch, we swap back. Clean slate. Family again." He smiled, my dimples mocking. "Or, I tell the shrink you're delusional. Body swaps? They'll lock you up in my skin." Temptation clawed, freedom, normalcy. But his eyes lied like always. "Bullshit. You'd leave me rotting." I hung up, storming out into the drizzle, mind racing. Time for the kill shot. I rallied the displaced. A town hall in Bed-Stuy, Adel and Hale. Him, coached via smuggled notes, taking the mic in my body, voice quavering just right. "My brother's a monster. I covered for him too long. No more." Gasps rippled. Cameras rolled. Viral gold. His bail hearing tanked. Public outcry sealed it. No release. Caged, he cracked faster. Smuggled recorder in the next visit. "Okay, Addie.
You win.
It was all me. The HUD, the evictions, the policy fraud.
Even the swap.
I hired the tech to fry our brains, trade places so you'd fry for my crimes. 15K was the bait, to lure you home." His voice broke, my voice, sobbing.
Please.
Mercy. I had it. Confession gold. DA's office drooled. Charges piled like Jenga, fraud, conspiracy, even attempted murder via neural fuckery. But the twist? As I played the tape for the prosecutor, a detail snagged. The lab's address, cross-referenced with Ethan's emails. Not just any egghead. Our cousin, Dr. Lena Voss, the black sheep who'd vanished after med school, rumored to tinker in biohacks for Big Pharma. Lena. The family's secret we'd buried. She'd OD'd Mom's script, accidentally, doubling the dose during a house call. Ethan covered it, paid her off, framed it as suicide to snag the insurance clean. I'd taken the policy hit years later, believing his lies. But the swap tech? Her revenge gift, or his blackmail tool. I drove to Jersey that night, rain hammering the turnpike like fists. The lab, a nondescript warehouse, humming with servers. Lena answered the door, our face aged, but unmistakable, eyes widening at Ethan. "Cousin, heard you were in deep shit." "Cut the crap," I growled, shoving inside. Blueprints everywhere, humming consoles. "You helped him. The implant. Why?" She laughed, bitter. "Helped?"
He blackmailed me. Knew about Mom.
Said he'd expose it, say I killed her for the inheritance we split. Tears welled. The device was experimental, meant to map memories, not swap souls. But he forced a test on you too. The storm? Cover story. Truth inverted. Ethan wasn't just the villain. He was the architect of our entire ruin. Mom's death, the policy scam, my framing, all threads in his web. And me? The loyal fool who'd gambled everything on blood. Lena had the reversal code, a EMP pulse tuned to our signatures. "It'll work," she swore. "But risky. Could fry your brains permanent." "Do it," I said. As the machine whirred, electricity arcing, I saw flashes. Ethan's memories bleeding in, his fear of poverty, the first bribe that tasted like victory, the knife swing born of panic. Then snap, world righted. I gasped in my skin, frail but mine, as Ethan slumped in his, Lena's needle-pricking sedative to keep him down. Cops swarmed an hour later, my call, tape in hand. He woke cuffed, raging. "Adeline, you bitch." "Save it for the judge," I whispered, my voice soft, unbroken. "This ends now." The trial was a media orgy, CNN tents sprouting like weeds outside the federal courthouse in Foley Square, pundits dissecting the Hale swap saga like it was the OJ circus reborn. Is neural body swapping the new deepfake? One talking head braid, while ethicists wailed about playing God in the gig economy.
Me?
I testified in a simple black dress, no makeup, letting the scars, literal and not, do the talking. "He didn't just steal my money, Your Honor.
He stole my life."
Framed me for his crimes, then tried to erase me from my own body. Ethan glared from the dock, his face gaunt, the golden boy reduced to a husk in ill-fitting jail blues. His defense? Insanity. Delusions from a botched experiment. But the tape, the ledgers, Lena's testimony shredded it. Ruiz sang like Sinatra. Cops traced the implant to black market DARPA scraps. The 15K? Exhibit A. The spark that ignited the inferno. Jury deliberated 3 days, long enough for doubt to fester in my gut. What if they bought his sob story? The troubled brother saving his sister from poverty? America loves a redemption arc, especially when it's wrapped in white privilege and Brooklyn grit. But on day 4, verdict, guilty on all counts. Fraud, conspiracy, assault with intent, 30 to life, no parole whispers. He lunged as they led him away, chains rattling. "You think this fixes it, Addie? I did it for us. Mom's ghost is laughing. You were always the weak link." I met his eyes, cold now, untroubled. Weak?
Nah.
Forgiving. But not anymore. The gavel fell. Cameras flashed. I walked out into autumn chill, free but fractured. Aftermath hit like a hangover. The loft sold at fire sale prices, proceeds funneled to a foundation, Hale reparations, helping evictees and vets fight the system. I got my old job back, plus a book deal from some hungry editor, swapped souls, a sister's revenge. Controversy brewed. Feminists hailed me as icon. Tech bros decried neural vigilantism. Ethicists debated if I'd gone too far, humiliating him publicly instead of due process. Lena? She vanished again, lab torched in an accident, but not before slipping me a drive. Mom's real autopsy, tampered script logs. Turns out, Ethan's blackmail was half true. Lena upped the dose, but he supplied the pills, testing a side hustle in lace street gear. The family curse, full circle.
Me?
I moved to Queens, that one-bedroom dream, but sleep came fitful. Mirrors still tricked me, flashes of his smirk in my reflection. Therapy helped, or pretended to. Forgive to heal, the shrink droned. Forgive?
ALLDAYSTORIES.
But the twist lingered. In his memories, during the swap, I'd seen his terror, not just of jail, but of me. The little sister he'd envied, the one who survived without selling out. Was the revenge mine, or his projection? One night, buzzed on cheap Merlot, I googled him. Riker's intake photo, hollow-eyed. A letter arrived weeks later, his scrawl shaky. You won, sis. But ask yourself, did swapping us change you? Or did you always have the killer instinct? Chills. He was right, in the sickest way. The decisions, leaks, the meat, the reversal, were mine, gray as the Hudson at dawn. Hero? Villain? Or just human, clawing back what's hers in a world that chews up the hails? I burned the letter, poured another glass. Outside, Brooklyn hummed, sirens, laughter, life unswapped. Happy ending?
Nah.
But closure? Close enough to taste. And if the devil called collect from Supermax, I'd hang up smiling. Debate that over brunch, America. Was it justice, or just another scam in the city that never sleeps?